Hey everyone, welcome back. Today is Friday and I wanted to show you what I do every single Friday to help keep paper clutter under control in my home. Now by paper clutter, I mean kids' school clutter, mail clutter, kids' artwork, and just the general overall pesky papers that are always around. This is what I do on a weekly basis to keep as much of that under control as I possibly can. Let me show you. I have a hanging file holder on the wall next to my back door. Inside of the top compartment are 3 folders: To Do, Time Will Tell, and Kids Artwork. Inside of the bottom compartment are 2 folders, one for each of my school-aged kids. Like I mentioned, it's right inside my back door. This is key because this is where we come in with the mail, it's where the kids come home from school, and it's right next to the kitchen. These 3 folders, these are never things that the kids will be into. They couldn't care less, to be honest. But so this, part of the reason why this works is because it's either me or my husband, usually me, that's in this. And so it's not getting shuffled around or people putting things in the wrong area. So that's part of the success of this. Now this is partly an idea I borrowed from Dawn, from the Minimal Mom. And that is the idea of a Time Will Tell. I think she does a Time Will Tell basket. I found for us the folder works better. So the Time Will Tell, the way that Dawn described it and that really resonated with me is this is for things that you may do something with in the future, but you're maybe not quite ready to bite the bullet. This is for things that will be dealt with at some point in the future in some way, whether they go out to the trash or whether they get rehomed or mailed in or whatever it is. It's not an excuse to procrastinate. Then the to-do folder is pretty self-explanatory. For us, I don't put a lot of bills in here. We do pay a lot of our bills, most of our bills online. But if we do have a bill that needs to be paid, that's not like a reoccurring payment, we usually take care of it as soon as it comes in so it doesn't get forgotten about. So for me, the to-do, things that need to be filed, things that need to be given away. There's an action item that needs to happen. And then this back folder, this is where I modified the system to work for our family, this is my kids' art that I want to keep. So these are some of our favorites, things that the kids have put together, things that the kids have made. Maybe it really captures their personality at that time in their life, or it's really exceptional artwork on their part, or it's sentimental. And then I try to date them so that we know at what point in the kids' lives this was. And the idea of this is not that I'm going to keep these things forever, as much as it is the idea of, I know this is something that right now I want to save, and so I'm going to hold on to it, and maybe as they, do more artwork, that this folder can only hold so much. So right now this is how I'm containing it, and maybe I'll decide that some of these aren't worth it once they make something else. But for now, this is just a landing place for the ever-present artwork that my kids make. We do have a second home, and I'll show you that in a minute. As far as the Time Will Tell, this is things like my kids took swimming lessons, so they have their certificates. I'm not sure if this is something that we'll need to show next summer when they do their swim lessons, or if this is just something that they kind of gave as a keepsake. So regardless, I guess until next summer, until I find out, I will just keep those here. And if I find out that they're not needed, that they don't need to, we don't need to take them and show them, these will either be turned in if they need to be, or they'll probably go in the kids' scrapbooks, or at the very least, I'll probably honestly take a picture for the kids' scrapbooks and then let them go. We have some property tax information that we get here. Oh, just do we need to keep this for records or anything? So that's something else I've got in here. There's a card for this learning program that my daughter can do. It's like a free online learning program. So that's what's in my Time Will Tell folder. And then in my to-do, like I said, it's not really bills. It's just things that you kind of get from maybe the bank that you probably should file. Insurance documents. Part of the success of this is it needs to be gone through on a regular basis. It's just something that you have to do regularly or else it gets overfull, which this one is a little bit overfull. This is what is in the top of that file box over there. And then I will show you the others. And then each of my older kids, since they're both in school, they have their own folder here. The only thing that goes in here is anything to do with my kids' school. So whether it's a letter from their teachers, their actual schoolwork, their artwork that they've made at school, anything to do with school is here. And then that folder with the artwork, that is stuff that they make at home. So if there's, I go through this week by week, and this will almost always have papers in it. So what I've done in the past that has worked really, really well is we just keep acquiring papers throughout the school year. I will say, if you have a hard time throwing things that your kids have made away, because you're afraid that you'll hurt their feelings or whatever, I will say for me, if I kept everything that my kids wanted me to keep, I would be literally swimming in paper. You can tell what's important to your kids. And if it's something that they're like, I did my best artwork, you probably want to save that. But there's so many things that my kids bring home. They don't necessarily showcase a skill. They maybe were a coloring page that they were given to help pass the time. Maybe they got done with their other work a little bit early. So you just have to determine it. But the longer I've done this, the more I can realize what they care about, what they don't, what they're going to care about, and what is just, paper clutter. When I got married, my mom and dad brought me a box of my school papers. And it was interesting to look through and see some of the things. And, oh, I remember that teacher. I remember that year. I remember that dress I was wearing in that school picture or whatever. But a lot of the stuff I didn't care about. I kept things that, like I said, showcased a skill that really showed like something that I liked, whatever. And I honestly didn't keep very much. And I don't know very many people that like to get a whole bunch of paper from their parents that they want to keep forever. So this is just at your discretion. There's nothing right or wrong. It varies from person to person. And so you just have to make the call. But my kids, like I said, they will occasionally get in here and get something out, but most of the time they're not in here very much. And again, that's the success of this, is that it's not getting, things from here are not floating around the house. Once they're in here, if the kids want to get them out and look at them, that's fine. But generally, they pretty much leave them alone. At the end of each school year, I take everything that is still in here. So I'm going through this every Friday. And at the end of the school year, I take whatever is still in here and I take really nice pictures of it. You could scan it if that's your thing. I found a lot of the stuff that my kids were bringing home, especially London last year in preschool, a lot of her stuff was like 3D, like Fruit Loops glued to make a rainbow kind of thing that I thought were cute. We use Amazon photo cloud storage to store our photos and our videos. Every year I make my kids an album on our Amazon Drive, and I say Blake 2nd grade or whatever. And then anything that is in this folder gets digitized into there. Then anything in here that I think that he might not care about, that he might not care to look at again, I throw away. So it's digitized. Someday I will eventually get around to doing something with those digitized files. I've toyed with digital scrapbooking. That's probably the route that I'll go. But right now, I just feel like I need to get it somewhere where it's organized and where it's safe, and I'll figure out the rest later. So there will be things that I will care about from here that he won't. For example, he did this writing practice, and it's a little story that he wrote about an apple, and I think it's cute. I don't really think he cares about it, but I think I'm going to keep this because this shows that in 2nd grade, this is what my writing style was like. This is what I was writing about. These are the cute words that I misspelled. He might not care about that, but I know I'll want to look back. Awards that the kids have gotten, you name it. Like I said, anything that comes from school goes in here. And so I'm just going to go through this really quick so you can see. He hasn't been bringing home a ton of papers this year. For whatever reason, he just doesn't, and that's fine. This is a drawing that he did. He did like a how-to draw video, and I think it's cute. So not a lot to declutter there. My daughter, on the other hand, probably will have more. A couple of cute books that she's made that I think are cute that she would probably want to look back at for, another year or two. And then at the end of the year, when everything is digitized, I throw away the things that I don't think that they're going to want to look at or want to revisit at the end of the year. And so anything like that will get thrown away, and anything that I think they still want to look back at, like this little book, I think she'll probably want to look back at that for another year or two. So I will keep that in their special box. They each have a special box that lives in their closet up on the shelf. It's not gone through daily that things aren't getting ripped or whatever. It's exactly what, it's a memory keepsake box. And then, you know, we declutter those every so often. But anyway, so things that I think that they will want to keep around, I'm going to keep in here. She did this cute painting, I think is cute. It's like a wax painting thing. Her first day of kindergarten hat, I know she's going to want that. Cute drawings. Let's see, this one is just handwriting practice, and I'm not even sure what's happening there. She's kind of an abstract little artist. So I'm gonna let that go. I think this is adorable. This is how they learned the color of the rainbow. This is just some stamping practice that they were doing. She spelled the word pet. I don't think she cares about that. Accounting worksheet. Like I said, if you've ever had kids, you know how much stuff they come gets. It's just everywhere. And then this school thing, she's learning sight words. So I like to keep things like this in here, even though they're not necessarily a keepsake. Like I said, everything from school is in here. And so I keep those so that I can go back and review the sight words with her. So we have, you know, a little pile that I'm just gonna throw away. I'm going to show you one more bin that we have that helps us keep the paper clutter under control. This is the kids' cupboard. Now, that doesn't mean that they can do whatever they want with it. It has to be kept somewhat tidy and organized, and we put systems in place. I can do a whole other video probably on that at some point. But this is, we keep it locked because there are markers in here, and my 2-year-old loves markers. So we keep it under control. We keep, the key to this is also going through it on Fridays. But let me show you what I've got in here. This is their activity cupboard. This is, like I said, mostly under control. This is where we keep anything that would be arts and crafts related, maybe things like sensory activities, like we have some kinetic sand down here, some Play-Doh, just some different activities. So this bin, it used to have a label on it, but the kids know if there's something that they want to keep, it goes in here. Otherwise, if it's laying around, they know that mom can and will throw it away. That sounds really harsh, but it has taken a couple of years at least for my daughter and probably a few years for my son. It's taken that time to train them to, if you make something that you want to keep, it goes in here. Now, if they bring me something and say, Mom, I made this for you, which happens frequently, I'll say, oh, that is so nice of you. Go ahead and put it in the bin. So they know that this is where things are safe. Now, kids, like I said, they do go through and they draw a ton, especially my kids. So I usually will not throw away anything that I know they're really into. This bin occasionally will be emptied out, and they don't ever really ask where things went, because for them, I feel like they are happy and proud of the things that they made. For my daughter, it's not so much what she's making, it's the art of making it. So like I said, if I kept everything that my kids made, I would be swimming in papers. We'd have papers everywhere. So I'm gonna go through, this is a coloring page my son did. I'm gonna throw that away. This is a coloring page my son got from school, and then he brought it home and finished it, and then it ended up in here. He hasn't looked at it since he put it in here and folded it up. This is a coloring page that he did. This is my 2-year-old was scribbling one day. Yeah, just, there's a lot of scribbling that happens. A lot of, you know, like I said, just the process. Tic-tac-toe, my son tore out of a coloring book, and we were doing tic-tac-toe one day. Partially finished coloring page. She made me this that I think is darling. If I find something in here that I think that's so cute, that really shows who she was at this point in her life, I'm going to label it, and then I'm going to put it over there in that to keep folder. And then, like I said, I might not keep it forever. I might, you know, get rid of it at some point, but I think this is really sweet, and I'm going to keep this. This is some kind of a chart that someone was working on and never finished. And then this is a cute little drawing that my daughter did, but she hasn't come back to it. So I'm going to put these ones back in. This one that my daughter made for my son, that's really cute. I think this is cute enough to keep around, but I don't really, she draws She draws things that are more indicative of her personality than this is. So this is just something I'll keep around so that they can enjoy it when they, put something in. They'll occasionally go through the old stuff in here. But for now, I'm just going to keep it in here. We will support their art habit as long as they are interested in it. Paper is really inexpensive, so we don't keep the whole ream down here. We do keep it under control, and then once they run out, then we'll get some. So we'll usually bring down a little bit at a time so they're not going crazy and just wasting it. But as long as that's what they're into, I'm totally supportive of that. But my caveat is I reserve the right to control what stays in the house. So I'm not gonna be mean and throw away their very favorite pieces of artwork. But I know this from experience, every piece of artwork is not their favorite. You as the keeper of the home get to decide what stays. This bin has been really instrumental in us keeping the paper clutter down. Not only does it keep it down on a day-to-day, but it keeps it down overall. So they know that this is where it goes if they want to keep it. If they don't, they know that it will get thrown away. And so it teaches them that responsibility that if I want to keep it, I better put it in here. That's how we keep paper clutter under control in our home. Like I said, those folders that I showed you from over at our command center, this bin right here, have been huge. So thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope that was helpful. I hope this gives you some ideas for how to keep paper clutter down in your home, and I will see you in my next video.